you got to put pressure on the quarterback, because ultimately that's what decided the Super Bowl, and that decided a lot of games. Is the quarterback is what everything's about. Defensively, you got to get to the quarterback. You can't let him back there and have him all day. And I think that's probably what they're going to address in the draft.
Mac guys, here we go on Bird 365. Appreciate your streaming on in. And we appreciate our first guest of the day for doing just that. You'll recognize that face, ex-Philadelphia Eagle, member of the media here in town for years, contributing still for Fox 5 these days on the tube. Garry Cobb joined us here on Birds 365. How you been, G Cobb?
I'm doing great. I had a great time, boy. I went to the Super Bowl, man. I tell you, that weather out there, 80 degrees all week. And, of course, I'm out there hearing everybody chirping. And everybody's chirping about quarterbacks. Quarterback. So it clearly, such a statement was made during those playoffs by the quarterbacks. And then, I'm out there and I see Josh Allen walk through there. What in the world? What? You just look some of these kids now. Plus, just all the guys in the league. I mean, these kids are getting so big, because I haven't been around the guys as much because of this COVID stuff. Because, you usually go down, I get a chance to meet guys, especially all the Eagle players. I've known all the guys, like, year after year, you meet the guys, you get a chance to talk to them. And, of course, once you kind of develop a relationship with a kid, he knows you're not trying to hurt him, you're trying to help him. A kid will talk to you about stuff. So I get a chance to talk to the guys and see, kind of try to help them. If I could do anything to help a kid, something I see he's doing that I could tell him that, might be able to help him with some way, and you get to know him a little bit. And so through, so when I go to the Super Bowl, you see former Eagles players and all the guys, you just laugh and things and, it's a good time because it's kind of like a reunion every year. You see all the guys and you can sit down and talk. And then, of course, everybody starts talking football and what's happening. And, of course, people are talking about the quarterbacks. It's a quarterback league. It's quarterback driven. The quarterbacks are the teams that win. Quarterback.
It's interesting, Gary, because you bring up seeing Josh Allen. I'll never forget the first time I saw Dante Culpepper, who was about 6'5", 260, yep. And I said, that's a quarterback? He was bigger than every stinking linebacker on the field. And, from that point forward, and that was basically the same year as Donovan, you've seen sort of a shift in the NFL. And some of these guys are just, you're right. And so we'll start it there since you brought it up. The quarterback in the Philadelphia Eagles, Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni, were very, I don't want to say validating, but they said, Jalen Hurts is our guy. Of course, what do you expect them to say? They're not under oath, I always say. So from my perspective, this team will try to get better at the quarterback position. And if they can't, they're happy to go forward with Jalen Hurts. Is that kind of how you see things unfolding this offseason?
Yes, that's kind of the way I see it. And I think one thing that really needs to be stressed about Jalen Hurts is the fact that, he's been in this situation before. He's been, where you're in the spotlight and everybody's talking about the quarterback position. But he's the kind of kid that will go and keep working. He's getting better. He's not awed by the situation. He's not going to fall apart like maybe Carson Wentz would or did. He can take the pressure because here in Philadelphia, it's a little different. Some guys haven't been in the kind of heat because in Philadelphia, people say what they think. They don't think about it and say, oh, we shouldn't say that because that might hurt somebody's feelings. No. It's said. So you got to have some tough skin. This kid has tough skin. They can be looking for a quarterback, but that's not going to stop him from playing and trying to get better and everything. And I think it's good that you got a kid that can take this environment. I think, in fact, that's one thing that you should consider when you think about who's going to come here to play quarterback, because I've seen some very good quarterbacks. They really were bothered by the atmosphere in Philadelphia because it would get hot. You're going to get criticized. You know, Donovan wasn't affected like Carson Wentz, but Donovan didn't like it, you know. Randall Cunningham didn't like it. How do I know? Because they said it. Because it gets hot here, and the quarterback position is a focus. And so you need to have somebody here that can take that heat and still play. And so the one thing about Jalen is he can deal with that. So they can be looking around for a quarterback. You know, and I think they, you know, you want to do it so loudly, openly and everything. But this kid can take the heat. And you got to be able to take the heat if you're going to play sports here in Philadelphia. And, you know, Jalen can deal with that. And I think that's a factor that should be considered when you think about who you're going to bring here to play quarterback.
And, oh, by the way, I've only known G for 30 years. And as far as I'm concerned, he's the guy who coined the phrase Negadelphia. So if anyone can talk to the heat of Philadelphia, it's a guy who created a word that now you hear on an almost daily basis in this town. And you're dead on, G. That is the strong suit. That is something that Jalen Hurts has that too many other guys have not had.
Yeah.
Can you teach that? Can you develop that thick skin? Or do you have to show up with it the day you get here to Philadelphia? If you don't have it when you become a Philadelphia Eagle for the first time, are you ever going to be able to get that or achieve that?
I think you can develop it, you know, with the help of the other guys and just people encouraging you and things. I think you can develop it, but, you know, I haven't seen it happen a lot, though. You know, it's usually if a guy comes in, either he can handle it or, you know, he can't, or he starts focusing more on that and it's bothering him. And, you know, and you can see, I mean, you know, just feel bad about a kid like Carson. Man, look how his career is going, you know, and there's no question the kid has great skills and showed it for a while, but to see his career like just plummeting like this, and it all started because, you know, something was bothering him. I don't know if that's exactly what it was, but to see his play just fall and, you know, start pressing and, you know, so much of it, you know, so much of the game is played here. I mean, you know, it's a mental game, especially at the quarterback position. And I hope somebody's able to talk to him because I mean, it's such a waste of talent. No reason that kid. You know, I see one thing that really bothers me about what I see with him. I look at a Tom Brady. Tom Brady will take a check down 25 times in a row. No problem, no apologies. Dump the ball off to the running back because it's the safest throw. It's not going to throw an interception. He's not forcing the ball in there. March down the field and score. I at time I was looking at that Atlanta game in the Super Bowl. Check down, taking what they give him. And then Carson, you see somebody, you know, forcing it. Look, it's not there, man. That's not your fault. If the guy isn't open, don't try to force it in there. And it's like some part of him just can't do that. He just, look, take what they give you. If Tom Brady can take what you give, I played against Montana. How many times did Montana check down to throw the ball to the running back, a little simple throw, take what they give you, take care of the ball. You don't turn the ball over. If you're going to turn the ball over, you're going to lose. It's like, I feel like taking a kid in a room. Look at these tapes of Brady and Montana and don't apologize for taking the safe throw. Take care of the football, son. Yeah, I mean, it's just something that seems like somewhere in there, they think you got to make these daring throws. And really, I mean, look at, you know, I think Kansas City
Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes, because that's how Cincinnati got to the Super Bowl, G, is the fact that they dropped 8 people in coverage and he wouldn't take what was there and was trying to press things and try to get the football down the field. It's Jonathan Gannon's philosophy that everybody hates.
Come on.
That's what the whole league is going toward.
I mean, and you see that happen to Mahomes, and I'm sitting there going like, I can't believe some of these kids.
Yeah.
Why have you got to do that when the greatest that have ever played the game will take the check down? You got to try to throw it in there. And if you turn the ball over, you're going to lose. You're going to lose in the league. I mean, the percentages are against. And just know it's that easy. Don't make the game harder than it is. But so many guys, they look at 25 times that great throw because that's the replay they're going to show over and over and over. But to have sat and watched Brady throw check downs to the running back, and as I said, Montana used to do it all the time. In fact, I just saw Wendell Tyler out at the Super Bowl. We're sitting there laughing and everything. Crap, I had to try to cover him. Man, don't throw him that check down because I got to drop. and I don't want him having a lot of room. Now I got to make an open field tackle on this guy coming back up in the zone. I don't want him to throw the check down because it's a tough tackle to come up and make it, especially if you got a back like Wendell who's quick and so. And then you see a guy who will just not take it, and you go, son, look, let me explain to you. What do you have against that short throw there that's safe? Take that until they open up. And then when they start opening up, then you can use your cannon, fine. But don't force it. Don't force it. Because if you force it, you're going to turn the ball over, and we're going to lose the game because you turn the ball over. And to see the Bengals do that and see Mahomes fall apart like that and see what happened to Wentz and everything, you go like, kid, the game is not that hard. Why did they got to try to make it so hard? But these are guys who are, legitimate with the definite franchise type talent. Now, when I start thinking about, Jalen Hurts, he's still got to prove that he has the arm talent, to be the marquee player. And he's got to watch too. At times when he had struggles this year, sometimes he was forcing the ball. He wouldn't take it. Now, when he would take what they give him, which I will say he's coachable. He's the kind of kid will listen. That, I think they're going to give him a chance to see how much he improves because I don't see anybody there I don't see Russell Wilson coming here. I mean, come on. This team is not ready yet. Russell Wilson wants to go to a team that's ready to win right now. Aaron Rodgers, same way. Are they going to come here with a team that's still getting their act together? You got young receivers that are still learning the game. I don't think that they would pick that. So I think he's going to get another year to show what he's got because I don't see anybody jumping out in the draft either. I really don't see that.
I would make the argument that 2 years ago, I don't think anybody believed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were ready to win a Super Bowl. And they went and got that Brady guy.
Or Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's true.
And they were right there.
I will give you that. And then plus, you could say the Rams in certain ways too, because look at all the deals they made. I mean, so, you could have a GM, he's aggressive and goes and makes that deal. So, things can happen quickly. And I think that, the last 2 years, you can see somebody, a GM goes out, what was, that shirt that the GM was wearing. The Rams GM was wearing that shirt about some draft picks.
Yeah. F draft picks, I think. Yeah.
I didn't catch that shirt. Gee, I want to flip it over to the other side of the ball because John mentioned it, and I want to get your take on it. Eagles defense. You were part of one of the most popular Eagle defenses. I've been in town 30 years, but doing my research and talking to people here before us, the Buddy Ryan defense might be the most popular defense this team has had over the past, I'd say, for its entire organizational existence in the NFL. Yeah, that's how popular it was because it was uber aggressive, and Philadelphia likes uber aggressive defenses.
Yes.
This year's defense was not uber aggressive. Jonathan Gannon plays a solid base defense with zones and letting the four guys get there and doesn't blitz much. And because of that, he comes under fire here in town all the time because people love their blitzing. People love aggressive nature of defense in Eagle Nation, and that's just not what Jonathan Gannon provides. But statistically, they were not a bad defense this year, and I think they can upgrade the talent on the defense and get even better during this offseason. Some people were praying that Jonathan Gannon got the Texans' job because they wanted no part of him coming back as their defensive coordinator. As a former defensive standout in the NFL, can Jonathan Gannon's defense work in the NFL in 2022?
I think he can. Yeah, I think he can. I think that he does, need to change things up at times. I would like to see him be a little more aggressive, even with some of the things he's doing. But you can understand he had a lot of guys new in his system. So when you got kids new in your system, the thing you don't want to just give people big plays with mistakes. And so I think that he's going to be even better this year, get more time to work with guys. He'll be able to get a little bit more complicated at times with things. But I've seen, defensive coaches come in and really offensive coaches too. But you need some time with your players. And the more time you have with them, you can do more things. But the big thing you don't want to do is try to do so much to where you got guys out there not sure of what they're doing, because you want them to play fast. And so I think you're going to see more out of him this year. And I, started seeing it as the season was going on, to where he does have a good mind for the game. He does know how to, play a more aggressive style and to take things away from a team and things that he does have the ability to do that. And you got to think he's still a very young coach, so he's still learning things. And I think that what he wanted to do was to be sound starting out, to do things that sound. So keep it simple. That's where he was, his mindset with the new group of guys that he was with and everything. So I saw him get more aggressive, saw him do some things that were, creative, and doing some things with blitzing and changing things up. So I saw, as the season went on, I was, like a lot of people, I wanted to see more, because you start out season where you got guys completing 80% of the passes. That's just off the charts. You cannot win where you let teams do that. So he did change things up as the season went on, and I thought all in all he wound up having a good year. And if they can start where they were and start this season there, plus, as we were talking about, I was talking about quarterback. Get to the quarterback. That's what you do defensively. You got to get to the quarterback. So they need some better pass rush. If they're going to play that, they need guys that can come off that corner and get there. And that's probably what they're going to be looking for in the draft. And, there are going to be a lot of other people looking for it. So they might end up trading up to try to do that. But you got to put pressure on the quarterback, because ultimately that's what decided the Super Bowl, and that decided a lot of games. Is the quarterback is what everything's about. Defensively, you got to get to the quarterback. You can't let him back there and have it all day. And I think that's probably what they're going to address in the draft.
Yeah, that's the adage I constantly hear from scouts now, is get the quarterback or get to the quarterback. There's no other way. You got to have one of them, or you're not going to be able to win consistently in the NFL. I do want to talk about it because I think you have that unique bridge. You started here with Marion Campbell, and then you went to Buddy Ryan, as Jody said. What does continuity mean for defensive players? I mean, that was year one with Jonathan Gannon, and there was concern that he would get the Houston job, and maybe the Eagles would be starting from scratch, but he'll be back. So what does it mean for those guys on the defensive side to be in the same system for that year two and have that continuity?
Well, defensive coordinators, they're different. They're completely different. I really played, 6 years in Detroit playing for Maxie Bourne, and that's where I really learned football. I learned the NFL game from Maxie Bourne. Smart player, smart coach, great coach. But he was completely different than Buddy. And really you have to respect both of them because, at times, I thought, Maxie's defense was a dominant defense in the NFL. And he really ran. He basically let the front four go after the quarterback. That was his thing. We're going to play pass defense. Sometimes we're going to blitz where we're sending the backers, but for the most part, you're letting those front four go there. That was his mentality. Now, Buddy, he was ahead of the NFL for a few years. Like that 1985 team, they should give Buddy Ryan that trophy. Should be at his house because he was ahead of the NFL. And then when I played for him, I saw how far he was ahead of the NFL. The way he called his defense and the aggressiveness, he saw what formation you're in. He studied what you like to do out of a formation, and he had a specific defense and blitzes for that formation every game. So you had to have smart players. But if they were smart enough to be able to change every week with what he had for each offense, the offense couldn't pick up the blitzes. They had trouble running against the defense because when the offense would shift formation, we changed the defense. But they didn't know that's what we were doing all the time. And in fact, see, after I left here, I went down to Dallas, and Tom Landry said, "Oh, man, that crazy Buddy Ryan stuff. Guys are just running all over the place." I said, "Coach, no. That's not guys running all over the place." I explained to him what they were doing. And he let his mouth falling open because Buddy was ahead of the NFL. Now I don't want to get all the way off and everything, but defensive coordinators are so different. So they have a personality. And so playing for them, you got to be able to adapt that personality. Buddy was aggressive. Go get the guy. If in doubt, go get him, because, that's, in fact, he used to tell us, look, if you're a couple of steps from the quarterback early in the game, the whatever, any kind of penalty is on me. Go get that guy. Hit him. So, because he knows how much a quarterback is affected by getting hit. So that was his mentality, and everything he did was aggressive. Now, I think Jonathan Gannon is going to be able to impart more of his personality in this defense because guys will be more comfortable with doing things. Because one of the things they got to do a much better job of is you got to disguise your defense. Before the snap, defensive players can move all over the place. You move. You don't stand there. You show him this. You don't let the quarterback know this is where I'm going to be when the ball snaps. No, you move around a little bit. So he's not sure. But if you go right to where you're going to be and everything, you go, okay, all right, they're in cover two. Okay, I know where I'm going with the ball. Especially a good quarterback is going to figure it out probably anyway. But you make it hard on him because just a split second. And the other thing I don't like is you got to delay the receivers coming downfield. Bill Belichick is like the only guy that still does it all the time. If you can delay the receivers by jamming them just a little bit and delay a split second or whatever, your pass rush might get there. And a lot of times a quarterback will come off of a receiver. If he's not flowing downfield right away, he knows that pressure's coming. So he's going to get the ball. He's going to try to look at somebody else. And I saw Jonathan Gannon starting to do some of that. And I think he's going to be better this year. So I feel good about that defense. I like the way they were going. And, of course, being here in Philadelphia, Jonathan Gannon heard some of that noise. So it might be some of it where he was going to do it.
I give Gannon a lot of credit. He's Jalen Hurts-like. At least on the outside, he looks like a guy who's going to let that water run right off his back like a duck. He did not show any intimidation's not the word, right? But even being affected by it, he dealt with it really well. What he says at night when he comes home to his wife, we don't really know. But I thought at least outwardly he handled all the critique and criticism well.
Very good point.
I want to ask you about coming into the NFL. We mentioned it before we punched you up. You were slightly before when the Combine started, entering the league back in 1979. The Combine started in the early 80s. So you didn't get a chance to experience that. I'm sure some of your teammates, when they joined your teams in Detroit, here in Philadelphia, that had gone through the Combine, talked to you about it.
Yeah.
Do you think the Combine's a good thing? And I'm talking about all the way from when it started in the 80s up till today. We might have a boycott this year. Your general impression of the Combine. Good thing or bad thing for players?
I think it's a good thing because I think it fairly, where a lot of times before, like out at USC, we had all kind of scouts come out there and, they're taping you. One guy's using this watch, another guy's using this watch. One guy's a little quicker than the other and everything. Where you don't have, it's not fair because you might have a guy that looks like, well, he's running a better time, but he was running on grass, the other guy running on turf, whatever, So to have everybody at one place doing it, it's helpful. You're still not going to get everybody there. But I think it was good. I think it's good where they have the, and I've been to a bunch of those, and they get a chance to talk to the players. I think that the good scouts, the teams with a good system where they evaluate players, they get in and talk to guys. They know the questions to ask. They know what they're looking for, and I think it separates the people that are good talent evaluators and the ones that aren't. So I think it's good that they have the, everybody together like that. I like it.
JAKIB, last one from me, and I want to tell everybody to follow you on Twitter at Garry Cobb. You can get him online, jcobb.com, box 29. He's everywhere. Everybody knows. Everybody in Philadelphia knows JAKIB. We mentioned Negadelphia, and we're talking the scouting combine. Is it more difficult for the Eagles? Because they got to figure out which one of these kids can handle the city of Philadelphia. And we've seen it recently. Jalen Reagor, maybe not the best equipped to handle it. You've dealt with a lot of young players over the years. Your son played at Stanford. What do you tell young kids, young players, when you talk to them on the Eagles about this particular city and about how it's more difficult? And from the perspective of the organization, how do they handle it? Because they know it's more difficult.
Well, with regards to the kids, I always tell the kid, look, man, focus on football. That will take care of everything. Make sure you're working on your game. Try to tell kids, I've seen so many kids come and go. They're not focused on football. Get distracted by this, whatever it is. Look, the reason you're here is because of your ability to play football. If that doesn't work out well, believe me, you're going to be on the way out of here, man. In fact, one of the things I really work for the NFL, and I work with the kids, to try to help kids in situations, try to help them as they transition. Really, I work with a lot of kids after they get released to try to help them get their life together and get a job and things. And the league is doing a lot of things like that, which is good because so many kids, in your early 20s, all of a sudden you've been working all these years, and then when you're not playing football, it's a hit. But I tell them to focus on football, man. Don't get distracted by this other stuff because your career will be over so fast. Even if you played 10, 11, 12 years. I played 11 years, man. It seemed like it went just zoom. It was over. So I tell them that's what's going to keep you. And I say that the fans here in Philly, they care. And that's why you're going to hear about it. I said, if you play well, you go they're going to love you, man. Even if you just give the best effort, if you're a guy that works, you show up prepared and everything, they respect you because, these people have to work hard and they understand and they will respect you if the kind of guy that works hard and everything. And I said, but don't get caught up into listening to everything everybody says. Don't worry about it. Somebody will say, somebody said this, somebody said that. And I try to tell them not to, listen to everything. You don't need to hear all of the criticism and everybody says about you. Who cares? The coach is the one that is going to tell you how you're playing and everything. Focus on that. And, I try to tell guys that, but like I've had this one guy who I was telling, I said, look, man, don't worry about the criticism. So he said, no, man, I don't listen. I said, listen, don't be listening to me on the radio, man. I told him, don't listen to me on the radio because people are going to be criticizing the guy. He goes, oh, no, I'm not listening. I'm not listening. And don't you know, about 10 minutes later, he goes, You know that guy that called you last night?
All right, JAKIB, here's my last question, and it's going to include a story. When I met G for the first time was at WIP many moons ago, probably around the water cooler before one of his shows, after one of my shows. I certainly knew of Garry, what kind of player he was, but I didn't know him personally. And I think the first time I met him, if not, could have been the second time, I said, hey, G, how often do you hear that you were the guy who was traded for Wilbert Montgomery? And, oh, my God, did G. Cobb's eyes roll. And he goes, why are you such an a-hole? You got to bring that up. Do you know how many times I've had to hear that in my time here in Philadelphia? And I really wasn't trying. I was just being inquisitive. Yeah, I was probably being an a-hole, too. So the question is, G. Cobb, when was the last time, other than your a-hole buddy, Jody McDonald, somebody asked you a reference that you were dealt for Wilbert Montgomery?
It was earlier this year. I don't hear it as much, but I still stay in touch with Wilbert. We're buddies, and but that was a big thing. I mean, and rightfully so. I mean, Wilbert was a great player, and the city of Philadelphia wasn't crazy about seeing him go. So in fact, when I came in, I was coming into a hotel there, over there in South Philly, and lady said, are you a new Eagles player? Oh, you're that guy. They got rid of Wilbert Montgomery. You better be a good player. Blah, 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 blah. So I got it right away. But you know why? What I was said, because people care about Wilbert. They respected what he did. I mean, he's the kind of guy, as a small back, took all the punishment he took, carried this team. A lot of the time he was here, he was the guy carrying the team. So people really cared about Wilbert, and that's really what they were reacting to. A lot of them didn't know me, but they knew that, hey, Wilbert Montgomery was a great player, great Eagle. And if you play hard, that's the thing about Philly. I try to tell the guys, man, if you play hard, these people will love you, man. And, you go give it everything you got. I said, you just give everything you got, they'll love you here in Philly. And the guys that have done that, they shake heads, said, you were right. They love you here in Philly if you give us everything you got.
And what I learned from that first encounter with G. Cobb was he was a guy who could take the heat. He was a guy who could thrive under the microscope and deal with the Negadelphia town that he was now a talk show host in, and did a great job and has continued to do a great job for 30 years. G, always a pleasure. Appreciate you hopping on board, bud. We'll run you down again during the off season. Thanks for hopping on today.
My pleasure. I enjoyed it.
That is Garry Cobb. Check out gcobb.com. You catch him on Fox 29. Good dude who I've known for a long time. And I got him a little bit that first time we met, asking him the Wilbert Montgomery thing. That's
a compliment. When G, I think it was from the Lions, right? When he came to Philadelphia. And I think they were trying to trade him for Anthony Carter before they got Wilbert Montgomery. And Anthony Carter was a huge deal in Michigan because he went to school there. And he started in the USFL there. He turned into a star player. So when you're getting traded for big names like that or in the conversation, that's pretty good. So you got to think of it that way.
And I was being, like I said, a bit of an a-hole. But it was also nervy on my part because at that point, G. Cobb just could have picked me up and bench pressed me. And threw
He's
me
still
through a
good.
window.
He's still good. G. Cobb is still...
He's still a big boy. I'm a little bit bigger than I was 30 years ago, so he'd have to do a little bit more heavy lifting. He was still in NFL player shape at that time, but I've always gotten along great with G. Cobb, and we appreciate when he hops aboard here on Birds 365. All right, we're coming back. We got more to discuss. Barrett Brooks, we're heavy on the ex-NFL.